The empire that was Sean Diddy Combs was once valued at $1 billion after facing a tsunami of sexual misconduct lawsuits beginning in November of 2023. Many companies who have once thrived by having a name like Diddy attached to them began distancing themselves from the Bad Boy Records founder. And while Diddy, through his attorney, has maintained his innocence in the wake of his sex trafficking arrests, it's clear Diddy's wealth and power has diminished from what it once was. Diddy, who hailed from Harlem, New York, was once a beloved figure in New York City. Just a year prior to his arrest in September of 2023, Diddy was awarded a key to New York City by New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is facing his own controversies. But in the aftermath of the surveillance video being released showing Diddy brutally assaulting Cassie when she was trying to escape her hotel room with him was made public, the backlash was swift, prompting Mayor Adams to request the key back. In a statement, Adams said he was deeply disturbed by the assault video. He wrote, "I strongly condemn these actions and stand in solidarity with all survivors of domestic and gender-based violence. Our city has worked tirelessly to make sure survivors are heard and seen by our administration." Diddy himself also released an apology video after the video was made public. And while he didn't mention Cassie's name, he claimed his horrific actions were because he was going through a difficult time.
I was f***ed up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it, I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy. Going to rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Diddy returned the key to New York City on June 10th. And another U.S. city wanted nothing to do with the disgraced mogul. In 2016, Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine announced that October 13th would be a day to recognize Diddy, dubbing it Sean Diddy Combs Day. The producer, of course, has ties there, where he owns a mansion right there on Star Island. That same mansion, along with his L.A. mansion, was raided by federal agents in March of this year. But on June 26, just 3 months after the raids, the Miami Beach Commission revoked the proclamation, stating in the resolution, "Upon reflection, the mayor and city commission have determined that recognizing October 13, 2016 as Sean Diddy Combs Day is no longer in harmony with the city's values of safety, community well-being, and respect, and wish to rescind the proclamation." And that decision was reportedly made without any debate. The streaming service Hulu was in its early development stages of making a reality show about Diddy and his family. According to Variety, the show was being developed with the working title Diddy Plus 7, which was being produced by James Corden's production company, and the series was supposed to follow the lives of Diddy and his 7 children. But in December of last year, the show was scrapped in the wake of the sexual misconduct lawsuits he faced. In November, the Capital Preparatory School in Harlem, which is a public tuition-free charter school Diddy co-founded, cut ties with the mogul. At the time, the school's co-founder, Dr. Steve Perry, released a statement following their decision. It stated, "Following a comprehensive evaluation, a decision has been made to end the partnership between Capital Preparatory Schools and Sean Combs." That news arrived soon after Diddy stepped down as chairman of Revolt TV, the TV network he co-founded in 2013. In a statement posted to the network's Instagram page, it read in part, quote, "While Mr. Combs had previously no operational or day-to-day role in the business, the decision helps to ensure that Revolt remains steadfastly focused on our mission to create meaningful content for the culture and amplify the voices of all Black people through this country and the African diaspora. Our focus has always been one that reflects our commitment to the collective journey of Revolt, one that is not driven by any individual, but by the shared efforts and values of our entire team on behalf of advocating, elevating, and championing our culture, and that continues." At the time, it was reported Diddy's decision to step down as chairman was described as temporary and didn't appear to be a full resignation. But all that appeared to change just months later. According to a TMZ report, Diddy had sold off all of his shares of Revolt TV to an anonymous buyer for an undisclosed amount. On June 4th, it was announced Diddy had sold his majority stake in Revolt, making the new owners the chief executive and their coalition of employees. Salexico, who previously managed Diddy as an artist, no longer lists him as a client on their website. According to Billboard, Diddy hired the artist management company, which manages the likes of The Weeknd, Ty Dolla $ign, French Montana, and Brandy back in 2021. Prior to his fall from grace in July of 2023, Diddy announced he'd be launching Empower Global, which according to his team was a curated immersive e-commerce platform that allows consumers to discover and buy products exclusively created and sold by Black entrepreneurs. Diddy founded the company in 2021. After the company was launched, he told the Associated Press in an interview he wanted to create the Black Wall Street and felt passionate about building wealth within his community, even investing $20 million into the platform. But by the end of the year, nearly 20 companies terminated their partnership with the e-commerce platform, one company even telling Rolling Stone magazine they made the decision after Cassie filed her lawsuit against Diddy. And while it's been reported there's been a jump in music streams since Diddy's arrest last week, an 18.3% increase in on-demand streams, don't expect to hear his music if you're taking a Peloton class. The exercise company said in June they are hitting pause of playing his music in their workout class platform. According to CNN, Peloton didn't indicate if they were removing his music from past classes, but confirmed their instructors are no longer using his music in any newly produced classes. Even the university Diddy loves so much didn't want his name attached to them. Diddy previously attended Howard University from '87 to '89 and received an honorary degree to the prestigious HBCU in 2014. But in the wake of the brutal assault video released by CNN in June, Howard's Board of Trustees unanimously voted to revoke the honorary degree. The university said in a statement, Mr. Combs' behavior captured in a recently released video is fundamentally incompatible with Howard University's core values and beliefs that he is deemed no longer worthy to hold the institution's highest honor. In addition to the scathing statement, the university said they were getting rid of the scholarship that was established in his name in 2016 and were returning his $1 million donation to the program. According to Vulture, Howard University is also canceling a 2023 pledge agreement with the Sean Combs Foundation, but said no money will be returned since no payments have been made yet. Diddy was also once a staple in fashion events across the globe, even founding his own company, Sean John, in '98. And established a distribution deal with Macy's department store 12 years later in May of 2010, making it the sole distributor at the online and retail level. But in November of last year, that would change when Macy's announced they were pulling the clothing line from their department and online stores due to Diddy's sexual assault allegations, ending their 13-year partnership with the mogul. Despite many companies distancing themselves or cutting ties with the Bad Boy Records founder, Diddy is still a wealthy man with an estimated net worth still in the hundreds of millions. But it's likely a lot of his money will be tied up into lawyers fighting his federal sex trafficking case and the nearly dozen lawsuits he still faces. I'm joined now by a great guest, and that's criminal defense attorney Serena Townsend. Serena, it's always so great to see you. Now, before we get into the empire that is Sean Diddy Combs, I have to ask for your reaction on his arrest. I know we've spoken in the past and you knew it was imminent, but after it actually happened, what was your reaction?
I wasn't necessarily surprised. Of course, we kind of saw this coming after search warrants were executed. Usually that's a bad sign. But the detail in the indictment was pretty eye opening and alarming. So I just think the public is pretty appalled by what we're seeing and hearing here. And so even though we might have expected an arrest, I think the details of everything that's coming out little by little is pretty alarming to hear.
And Diddy was once a man whose name held a lot of power, once valued at $1 billion, maybe now 600, 700 million, which is still so much money. And last week, two federal judges decided to hold him behind bars until trial, partly because of allegations he's tampered with witnesses, but also in part that he might flee. But what are your thoughts on just how much money he's still worth, despite many businesses and companies cutting ties with him in the wake of the lawsuits he's faced and the brutal assault video that was released by CNN over the summer?
He's got his hands in everything. He obviously started out as a music mogul, built an empire out of that. But it looks like, aside from that, he's built a clothing company, Sean John. He's built, every type of thing. He's actually a trailblazer on that front. A lot of other people had followed in his path with respect to that. So he knows how to make his money, but unfortunately, he did so illegally through this criminal enterprise. And I think, a judge is going to look at that and say, well, can we really rely on this person who has so much power and influence and money to come back to court and face these very strong allegations? The answer is clearly no. We cannot trust that he will, and therefore he's going to have to be detained throughout the pendency of his case.
And does it come as a surprise to you that some companies waited until the assault video came out to cut ties with him and not when Cassie first filed her lawsuit?
That just goes to show you where people's mindset is. It's so unfortunate. There are very few people, and particularly people who are, in big business, money hungry people, who are willing to just do the right thing, who are willing to hear out victims. We see this all of the time, and this is just a prime example where here's a credible woman who's come out with very bad claims against an individual. And sure, I understand, obviously, the concept of innocent until proven guilty. But at the same time, you have to wonder, why didn't anyone listen to this woman or the many women who might have come out beforehand? Why is it only now, when it's obvious and publicized and known to so many people, are these people stepping back from promoting and associating with Diddy?
And I thought it was pretty interesting that Diddy's attorney previously claimed he knew the federal government was looking into him. They knew an indictment was coming. Do you think his business practices, as far as selling his shares, trying to sell his home, even giving back the music rights to his artist last year, was because they knew the feds were looking into him?
Absolutely. I think he's getting advice from very intelligent individuals, advisors. You got to shed all of your property. You got to shed as much money as possible. You got to do what you have to do in order to insulate yourself. What the government is going to try to do is seize all of the profits from the criminal enterprise itself, right? So if he distances himself from it, he sells off his shares, he buries it somewhere, he does some creative moving of money, he's going to be able to divorce himself from those funds. And that in and of itself is essentially criminal behavior, potentially. But that is what he's going to be advised to do. And if he's, looking ahead and knowing what might be down the road for him with respect to forfeiture of that money by the government, he's going to try to get rid of it as soon as possible.
Diddy's accused of doing these horrific and heinous things, not just to women, but also to men when it comes to the sex trafficking case. But then there's this flip side of him doing good in the community for small Black owned businesses to helping students get an education. What do you make of this, given everything that we know now?
What you have to make from this is that people are people, right? Nobody is purely evil. Nobody is purely good. There's no doubt in my mind that he has done good things for the community and that he's done good things in his life. He's probably helped a lot of friends. He's helped his family. And so, nobody can be painted with such a broad brush of this man is purely evil or purely good. And that's just what, you see in a situation like this. And that's what his lawyer is going to latch onto when, eventually he's going to make a pitch for leniency.
And he's still that worth that estimated hundreds of millions of dollars, but say he does beat the charges. Do you think that he'll still be worth that amount of money, or will his empire be brought down because he's spending it all on lawyers at this point?
These are the kinds of things that destroy empires. Absolutely. He's going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees. He's obviously already moved money away from himself. And frankly, if he ends up incarcerated, he's really just not going to have the access and the power and the control over his funds, over his enterprises. And unless, he has successors who are willing to continue that and pay him out for it, and businesses that are willing to align themselves with those successors, I think we're seeing the demise of P. Diddy.
And what do you think his alleged victims are thinking at this time? Not just, and when I say alleged victims, I'm not talking just about Cassie Ventura, but also the other women and men, I'm including Rodney Jones Jr. in this, who have also come forward, accused Diddy again of these horrific and heinous things. What do you think they're kind of thinking right now, that this man who was once held in such high esteem, he was once so powerful, had all this money and power to kind of make things go away for himself. But in the flip side now, as we know, he's behind bars. What do you think that they're thinking right now?
I assume they have hope. I assume that they are cautiously optimistic. I think they are feeling finally a small measure of power themselves. This is not your typical situation. There's so many unfortunate, sex crimes that happen in this world, and there's so many people who commit crimes, and there's so many victims of those people. But it's very rare to be victimized by somebody who you think cannot be taken down. The power, the money, the influence, the team of, lawyers and associates, violence, manipulation, just all of it. It checks every box. And so I have to assume that the people who he has victimized allegedly have been probably thinking this whole time, I'm never going to, see justice here. I'm never going to see accountability. Nobody's going to believe me. And I'm in danger for speaking out. And I can't, there's just this huge measure of relief that somebody is listening, somebody is moving forward. And that, but again, cautiously, because of course he's still going to use his resources to try to fight this, which he has the right to do, of course. But it is an intimidating process for these individuals who have come out, even now. So I say cautious optimism and hope.
And are you surprised that Diddy's defense attorney and the defense side is appearing so confident throughout all of this? Again, Diddy was this person who was held in such high esteem. A lot of people were so intimidated by him because of his power and his wealth and his influence that I think a lot of people didn't actually think he would end up behind bars and has to stay there until the sex trafficking trial. What are your thoughts on just this outward appearance of confidence that he will beat these charges? I believe his defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said that he will testify in this case because he believes he's innocent and is chalking, the freak offs to consensual acts.
Yeah, Mark Agnifilo is a well-known, high-profile criminal defense attorney. He's very good at his job. I have to assume that the reason he's putting on this front of confidence is obviously to manipulate, the public and the potential jurors down the road, and just, have a strong showing for his client. Nobody wants to necessarily appear fearful of a prosecution. They want to show, we have every right to defend ourselves. We have every reason to believe that things are going to go our way once the truth comes out. I've been painted as, my client's been painted as a bad guy, but the truth will eventually come out. And of course, look, there's only so many defenses you could have in this type of situation. It's not like he could go with, it wasn't me. It's not a whodunit. Everybody who's accused him knows who he is. There's not going to be an alibi here. So he has to say that everything here was consensual, and that all of these charges are just drummed up, overcharged events. Obviously, he's going to go with everybody wanted to be around Diddy. They wanted to be around his influence. They voluntarily put themselves there for the benefit of their own careers and their own popularity. And this is, freaky, and maybe it's frowned upon by polite society, but it's not a crime. That's, the position that they're going to take.
All right. Well, Serena Townsend, I really appreciate your insight into this story. Before we sign you off, anything else you'd like to add?
No, but thank you so much. You've been covering this. Law&Crime's been covering this. We kind of saw that this was coming, and now, I think it'll be a very interesting case to watch develop.
All right, Serena Townsend, again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And at this time, Sean Combs, aka Diddy, remains behind bars in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. His next scheduled court date is slated for October 9th. Reporting for Law&Crime, I'm Elizabeth Millner.